Hello everyone and welcome back to Wargame Red Dragon. We have a 2v2 for you guys today, and I'm teaming up once again with HanDHun, recently re-promoted to First Lieutenant, and, well, Han and I play together very often. I would like to say that we work together very well as a team, as recently shown by the win against Tortique, the Lieutenant General, and his ally. This is one of those games that's going to stress that teamwork to its absolute limit. Now, I've shown you guys a couple of games before going 2v2 on Punch Bowl, and I really like to fight over Dimitri Center, and this is a friendly game inside of my own Discord, so Canadian and Almost Crippling Depression are both in voice with us right now, well, at the time of the game. And they kind of probably expected that, knowing my style of play. So right off the bat, we have a really tricky situation. Fending 20mm from Crippling Depression, but they're backed up by Canadian's Cepha'es, and Cepha'es are very efficient at killing helicopters, even trading decently well with things like Sokals. You see right there, my Sokal failed to kill that Cephae. I really wanted that very badly, and there's a whole herd of helicopters coming over to Dimitri. I make no exaggeration on this game. I had my mouse over the surrender button at least once, shall we say. It's a doozy, so I hope you guys enjoy. Now, most of my opener was diverted, and this is something I was really fortunate for. Losing Salamandra is not that, but the KTs with their Bushmaster 2 autocannons, oh, that's not that one, there we are, can fight reasonably well against helicopters at close range, so we take out a lot of those tools for the Blue 4 team, but if you noticed, there were a couple that headed over to this town, which probably means that the team of Canadian and Crippling Depression have, well, taken the far side of our 2-pointer in force, and on this map, that's really, really a challenge. Now, one other thing I'd like to point out here real quick. HanDHun is pushing into Elena very aggressively, and that's in response to the opener. When you see both players on a 2v2 going into one location, push them everywhere else. Take that ground, you'll need every inch of it later on, because, well, 2v1 doesn't really end up very well. Oftentimes, Kefir 7C coming in, and most of my infantry, the expensive Karten Yekri and Iroquois Yekri, are dead. Jeez. Yeah, that Kefir got a lot of value right there. Now, most of my opening is gone, but some of it is still around here, able to make it down into this section of the 2-pointers, and sparring with Canadian's Moglan. He's, of course, playing Israel, and Moglan are an essential part of that. Two of them here is maybe a little bit fragile to anti-infantry sort of work, but I doubt that was all that was intended to go down here. We had a bit of a big clash, shall we say. Second Kefir C7. And I say second because I doubt this thing would have had the time to rearm that bomb. So I think there's now been 2 plane buys, 2 bomber buys, and they're 125 points apiece from Canadian. Kefir is a little bit more of an unusual choice for Israel, but it's no less effective for that, as we saw previously, if it can get that gun, well, that bomb rather, online. And here's the tricky thing. So my Renico, not able to engage the Mogwang, so I'm running from this bomb. My Iroquois actually do survive ever so slightly, but this is Crippling Depression's opener. And it's a mechanized opener, and it's finally arrived, and that is going to be terrifyingly difficult to deal with, because with mechanized, you sacrifice speed for punch, and consistency, and numbers, and all of that is on display right here. M4 1A1s are going to just mulch my Iroquois, and Tebel group of Ranico Yekri that are panicked won't be able to deal with that. I'll get 1 Epilos shot off, maybe 2, and I'll probably lose the Ranico very quickly. Now, we do have a couple of ROMs, and we do finally get a kill on one of those Kefir C7s, which I guess maybe they have, maybe their resupply is just incredibly quick. But there's also an automatic back there, so my ally's Mi-24V 100-point helicopter that he sent over here to help me out is gone for free, which, at this point in the game, you gotta be sort of counting zones to yourself. Right now, if we cap Boris, Feder, and Elena, that's +3 for us, there's a +2 for the Blue 4 team, and if they countercap us in Dimitri, technically speaking, we tick +1 until the end of the game. That is, well, it could be worse, shall we say. But the issue is that whole opener, that whole mechanized opener from Crippling Depression is not going to stay put. They're already pushing in now Canadian with Shiatet 13 reinforcements. This isn't the initial opener. These are new troops going in and crushing my CC 3-1 in the woods. Just, yeah, not really able to do much against that. And my Commando Yukia are, well, not well defended. So I'm bringing up reinforcements as quickly as I can. Terra Musties, more men in KTs. We're going to get some Raskazin Korima as well in Musty trucks, because my intention is to create a firing concave, if I can, along this line of woods. So what I want to do is be able to shoot across with those 16 AP 1400 meter recoilless rifles. Mi-28 now does get a really nice kill, taking out one Merkava 2A, hitting the second one down to 1 strength, and there's unfortunately going to be out of range and no longer spotted, but very nearly 2 crucially instrumental kills there as it is. 1 definitely amazing piece of work. So my Commando Yukia are sparring with Shaitet 13. You can see Canadian realizes this and redirects them. Mi-8T barely saving my hide there. And we're moving back, we're trying to get out of the way as Yakuri and more KTs move forward, and I'm doing my best to keep the KTs behind the Yakuri. I want those fragile autocannon vehicles to be able to fire but not receive fire. Here comes a K-Fear C7, oh my goodness. So many bombing runs, and I've had it with this. I am just done with this by right now. I don't want to deal with that bomber. So we will see a MiG-29 913S coming out, trying to go for the kill. We have 1 missile away. These are semi-active missiles with the long-range Vimples, and I don't get a kill with those, so I'm going to be... Ooh, yeah, we do. I didn't think I was going to, so I was trying to close and get the short-range Vimples online, but that's evac ordered, we do get out. So a second nice intercept there. Not able to have that bomb be dropped will cost Canadian a fair number of points for minimal gain, and at this point things kind of look okay, right? I guess we're fine, I guess we can hold here, I guess we'll do the split on our own 2-pointer and just cap these and call it a day. But there are Dragoner, there are boxes, and those on their own aren't that scary, but look at this. 4, 8, yeah, just so many M41A1s. I should also make a note here. Almost Crippling Depression is playing, I believe, a Norway armored deck? No, Denmark armored, yes, Denmark armored deck. And that might sound a little goofy, it's certainly not a competitive pick, but in the hands of someone who knows it well and uses it very well, which he does, he's been playing this for as long as I've known him, it's just, it can be really oppressive on the ground. These M41A1s, at the time that we played the game, had recently just handed me a loss as well, just knocked me right out of my zone, and you might not think of it looking at their stats. They're, 10-point tanks, rinky-dink values of 8 armor piercing, 2 frontal armor, but in enough numbers, every little bit of that firepower counts and can really punch upward quite impressively. Now, this is the firing concave I wanted, so Terra Musti shooting in, more Musti shooting in, Raskaz and Korima not able to get their guns online, but the other thing is, because this is a armored deck, the infantry are low veterancy just like mine, but the tanks, like the Leopard 1A5DK, that's at elite. That will do a very nice job here. Avia does get the bomb away and drop, watch this. You see all those explosions? It's a lot of kills. M41A1s are still alive. There's more. That was not enough to slow down the Blue 4 Menace in that 2-point zone, at least not yet. So we'll have to see what we can do there. Spetsnaz Guru pushing forward into the woods, Ural behind them, and I'm basically shouting into HanDHun's ear at this point, go, 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 go for Anna, take their zone, take their home zone. This is our chance, everything's over here, and I can't hold against this. And I know right now that I can't hold against this, and that is the moment where I was sitting there going, oh goodness gracious, do we even want to be in here? I think they've just won. Now, you might be thinking I'm kind of over-exaggerating a little bit, but sometimes, some games, there are ways that you can play where it's soul-crushing, and you think to yourself, ah, there's no way back, I'm just out, let's just have another new game, and I'll give it a shot, starting over. I mean, these Centurion 84s are not exactly high performance, but elite veterancy. They have 20% or so crit rates because of that veterancy, and they'll hit quite a lot more than they should. So, pretty scary stuff there. Raskaz and Korima are not what I should be using to clear these woods, but they're what I'm using out of desperation. And because Anna is, of course, right next to their air and ground spawns, their response to my allies' push into Anna is pretty effective. So Fennec 20mm will die relatively quickly, but Block 5, also from Crippling Depression, will get in there, get some good kills. Cluster taking that stuff out and really stripping my allies' ability to take into that zone. There's also a super heavy tank from Canadian in the back there, because of course Israel does that very well. Some Hammers get around the side. Now, that is well deserved, because I was recently playing against Canadian on this map, and I snuck around his flank, and I did it with, autocannon transports. The fact that he's using Humvees is a little bit generous on his end, I think, and I'm moving away because I have nothing back there. I'm trying to get the PT-76Bs back there. Everything else that I have on wheels isn't quick enough. And he actually split up the Hummers to go looking that much more effectively, that much quicker. So, nice move from there. He's stunning my Commando Yukia, and I lose them. And the ROMs, you might wonder why they're moving in. I was trying to get the Command Infantry past the ROMs and have the Hummers stuck on the ROMs. As it is, I lost Command Infantry, and I might well lose one or both of these ROMs as well, just to that single 7.62 gun on the top of the Hummer. if nothing else. So we lose Dimitri. They are taking now +2 because the blue 4 team has cap center, and we don't have anything capped right now. Trying to get all of our points on the board and into the action, as Blitzwar would say. Trying to make sure that they're just as effective as they can be. Now, Musty's moving over. I'm trying to see, okay, are there any vulnerabilities here? I saw the Hawk in the open. I was thinking to myself, okay, maybe we can go up there. We do capture a fair number of cargoes. They're just 10 points apiece, but it does disrupt the blue 4 supply lines for even just a minute, and that is something I was very grateful for. New Ranako Yekuri are here. Most of my standard Yekuri have been cleared out, and at this point in the game, I have maybe about 200 or so, well, less than that even. I don't know, maybe about 200, 250 or so points worth of fighting units on the field. So I'm not talking about the FOB, but my command vehicle is gone. My FOB is the only non-fighting unit I have. Even including that, it's only about 300 points worth of stuff. Increasing, of course, over time as I call in some more units, and decreasing over time as my Ranako get taken out by some Ildottersgruppe that these guys, you should check them out. The Carl Gustav M2 is pretty decent, and stacked in 4 stacks, they'll fire in, they'll take out elite infantry in the woods way more effectively than you might think. HH-10 does get some good shots on. This is a 90-point tank from Canadian, and the Centurion 84s are, yeah, 25 points, so they're pretty small, but I'd say trading the HH-10 for that 90-point tank, definitely worthwhile. We did also rip off some of their anti-air. They got a little bit too aggressive. Just trying to say to them, hey, you can't reinforce in through there yet. You'll have to take the long way around. It'll buy us a little bit more time. Not much, but some. And you always know I'm having a bad day when I'm panic buying helicopters. It's sort of a statement of, oh, everything's on fire. What can we possibly do here? But so far the first one was worthwhile. The second one might well be. Actually has just made up his value. They're killing 2 of those 25-point helicopters, or 2 of those 25-point tanks, and I was looking for the third, but I went into low hover. Kind of annoying how things do that. My musties were completely forgotten about. So if I had just gone up the hill right there, could have taken out that radar Hawk, 40 points worth of kills off of some musty trucks. I've definitely used these guys as much as you can, I think. KTs are the classic, you're playing Baltic Moto, this is what you go for. I love musties. I think they're maybe not the most effective of any and all vehicles there, but they are certainly very effective at their job. So the Blue 4 team has capped Dimitri. They're taking +3, and this is a problem. Even if we have +3 from Boris Elena Feder, they have +4 from Center Dimitri. So this is flipping the original situation on its head, where we could sit there with the +1 tick forever. Now they can't, because I wasn't able to hold the back part of Dimitri. This is a sweep, and it was brutal. It was one of those situations where I'm sitting there going, sure. So HanDHun, meanwhile, has sort of, at my request, let me handle this as much as I'm maybe able, and gone in for Anna. So Motostrelki moving up, more Motostrelki MTLBVs, a lot of fire support too here. Recently killed some of it, unfortunately, but he's almost there, and it was so bone-crushingly close, right? So killing the automatic with that seed plane, and then my MiG following behind to make sure that the Blue 4 team can't ambush us for free, but just as I turn, in comes that Block 15, and I couldn't get a shot off. So unfortunately that is damaged, and, oh, safe? No, seed plane does go down, but we get the air superiority fighter from Blue 4 as well. Unfortunately, Canadians Barak 2 will answer. So a lot of dead planes there. Actually, wait. Huh, I didn't realize that got out at the time. Cool. So a lot of dead planes there, a lot of dead units on the ground as well, and Blue 4 has defended their spawn once again. Such a tough nut to crack. It just really is very, very challenging. Dimitri, pretty much gone, and at this point you have to sort of take stock and see about doing some things differently. Block 5 from the Blue 4 player, going after the books probably, I'd imagine. Yeah, so nice job moving those. And then they just need some resupply, they've already gone through it. So really far forward book M1s is going to be devastating the Blue 4 air capabilities. And getting a stun there is pretty nice. Second missile might have been a kill. So on my end of things, I'm sitting there going, okay, let's change the paradigm, let's do something different. If we're not going to give up, which we shouldn't, you know, fight as long as you think you have even a semblance of a chance, then we have to switch things up. So I have Eroko's Yekri and the Super Pumas. They're going over to the side. They're going to attack in from the side. I have Karten Yekri here. They're moving through the woods, going around what I suspect is the Blue 4 position between this section of woods and on the top. And XA-180s, you might sort of wonder why these guys are out in front of the Ranako. Right now, that's because these guys, I don't care if they die so much. They're 10 points. I should probably have split them up and sent them 3 different ways, but that might also risk the elements of surprise a bit more, and the Ranico behind them are what needs to be protected. So long as these guys don't encounter anything, my Ranico can relatively confidently move in that same space, at least just a little bit behind them. Avia 28 bomber coming out, I'm looking for that Hawk, but we are going to be a little bit off target here, so the bomb is away. A little bit of a cheap move on my part, and they move out of the way of that really big but really slow bomb. It's no B5. If it was a B5, we might still have gotten the kill, but as it is, right dropping in the center there isn't going to be quite close enough to take out the Blue 4 CV, which in hindsight I'm kind of glad about that. It was a little bit of a spite move, I have to say. Not immune from that, but Magwan and an automatic do take out my infantry, and in response to that, realizing I can't cross this open ground, we're going to go after the automatics. My Ranico moving up through the woods here, trying to get their Apolos online between this section of woods and here, but a very nice play from Crippling. He does still have a couple of units there left to garrison, and this triple stack of really expensive units can either be brutally effective or it could be a really big pitfall if they get taken out of value, and the automatic is retreating away. So that single little cheap recon vehicle saved his automatic, saved his firepower there. We find the Hawk from Canadian, and if these Kartanyakri can get into the town, they can take that guy out. The issue is the automatic. Look at that. This thing, there's a reason it's referred to as the Automagic inside the community. It is an everything killer. It will kill helicopters, it will kill infantry, it'll kill tanks, and it'll kill planes. It is just one of the best units in the entire game, and unfortunately that command infantry is alive. Now, I do know what it is, I do know roughly where it is, but the issue is I could have probably guessed both those things before. People usually bring command infantry into those sections of town because infantry survives better in towns. And now my Ranico Yakuri becoming an expensive mistake as they get pulled apart. So that was a little bit of a failed thrust there, I suppose, but it did distract them quite a bit. So now we have Charioteers coming in right down the pipe, KT supporting as well, but Merkava 2As will stop these guys because right now they're still inefficient. Charioteers, of course, I often joke are some of the best tanks in the game because 15 points and 5 armor is spectacular, but we're having to do sort of a hold 'em and hit 'em strategy where my Salamandra is trying to get the kills on those tanks. We get one of them, while the Charioteers make them spotted, give them things to shoot at other than other units that I care about nearby. So we got 280 points worth of kills right there. I still do have the Iroquois Yakuri here, debating splitting them up, sending one of them around, but this situation is becoming unsustainable. The Blue 4 team has gotten a +1 for quite a while, +3 even for a little bit. 280 points to our 16. It's looking pretty grim indeed, and I just want you guys to, I usually post wins, but not always, and I want you guys in the comments to think about which side you think is going to win right now, looking at this board state, and just sort of factoring in the current points as well. Which side do you think is going to win, and I suppose why. So I'm hunting a Tefai. Whenever you're hunting a Tefai with a Meg on one of these, it's a bad day, but we do get the kill there, very grateful for that, and that trade at least has been relatively at cost. We did lose a couple things, but we have some time left, however small, in order to make that ground back. So, Iroquois Yakuri were not split up. I instead moved them forward into the section of town and promptly lost one of the groups to an automatic, but the other one was able to get back. I really wish I had something like Magwan on Baltic. I mean, most factions wish they had Magwan, to be frank, but my Iroquois, usually so good at being multi-role, can't handle armor that's that far away. It has to be close up or no dice. So, what do we do at this point? Well, if going around in Dimitri didn't work, and coordinating that with a charge into this side of Dimitri didn't work, then we can maybe try center. We can try an Anna push again. Look at my stuff on the board right now. I have Iroquois, I have an HH10, I have a Spike team, I have a Cargo, and I have a Salamandra. And until I called in those KTs, that's basically it. Now, I was floating maybe about 200 points or so, just out of sheer, well, not frustration, but confusion, right? Where do you even go to start building this game back? Dimitri is gone, center is gone, they're completely held by Blue 4, despite repeated attempts to take them out. What do you even do? And this is my answer. We attack in here, we attack into center, we try and block off their reinforcements and cut off access to the entire right side of the map. If we can, well, my hope was to basically just bisect this map completely, and then slowly squeeze center and Dimitri with our own fresh supply lines that they can't really get access to. It's a risky plan. I've defended against it before, and there are both more difficult and easier things to defend against, but Han's setup here is proving exactly what we need in terms of gaining us extra time, really making the enemy pay in blood for every step that they're taking back here, with the loss of those Fennecs, with the loss of a Centurion, and a plane shot down by the Book M1. So his hold on the left-hand side and in the center of the map is saving our game right now. If they flipped anything even to a +2, we're going to be gone before we can figure out anything new. So Barak 2, MiG-913S, and we get one missile away. Unfortunately, there is anti-air now in this section, and I'm trying to get the Barak 2, but we actually trade into it instead of being able to get out scot-free. Oh, no. Alive with one. Oh, goodness gracious, that was frustrating. Yeah, HE values on your plane's missiles, they do matter, and that's exactly why. So, yeah. Hey, was it a greedy dive? Yes. On the other hand, if I could have gotten that Barak 2, we would have had much better rain over the skies, which can help in an offensive like this, where I want another Avia out, I want some Hawk Bombers. I'll need supporting elements that I can't bring with me on the ground. So, XA-185 KT is carrying, I believe, Ranako Yekuri, just going all in here on center on this push. Terra Musties, HH-10 and a Salamandra. Everything I have on the board right now going up and in there as Han has actually switched over to handling Dimitri, I think in response to some of my frustration with having to try to do that again. And seeing him arrive there, I kind of kick myself a little bit and I go, you know what? My ally isn't giving up, neither will I. We'll send some supporting elements over here, just pad out that attack with a couple of autocannons. BDV-90, of course, are very effective infantry with those Vampires. 24 AP power, 875 meter range, 70% accuracy, and excellent range scaling, so they can get a lot of work done. But that's more Ildotter's Grupa, and they will also be very effective in the woods. So this is a little bit of weird pathing. Vehicles and tanks tend to get kind of stuck in buildings. It's a kind of goofy thing, I guess, if you're not really familiar with it. And my Terra Musties are also out of place, so I guess it's a distraction, you could call it that. It's definitely intentional, wink wink, nudge nudge. Maybe not so much. And my Iroquois are going around the side, so I figured, why go in here again? There's an automatic, it's just going to shoot me in the open, there's no reason to send away those Iroquois Yekuri for nothing. But they might not expect it if I can get into the far side of center, and that could be something worth exploring. We do also kill a recon helicopter, and at this point I was feeling pretty good about this. We have some smoke down, our spike team has been able to kill the unit that was defending in the woods here, and if I could get up and onto that plateau, we could do a lot of damage. The question is, can I get there without getting shot? And this is where I make a bit of a mistake. So these KTs should be farther over to the right, because I get within range of infantry in the town, and that, I mean, it's cheap Spesdern, and they're able to kill one of the KTs, they damage some of my Renako, they delay this whole thing. If I was moving up onto the top right now, KTs could probably be shooting at the Tsefa E, 4 of them all at once, and then not getting caught by this, so the timing there on the reinforcements from Blue 4 was pretty amazing. These guys had just arrived right when my Ranako get up to the top, and this is why you don't go right down the pipe with Special Forces. I'm making a really bad decision leading the way with these guys. These guys are the ones that you want dealing damage, not being on the receiving end of all of that mechanized firepower, all of that, well, Denmark armored firepower, I suppose you could say, just Dragoner and endless cheap tanks able to mulch any quality of infantry whatsoever. But we are bringing out a lot of planes here. Blue 4 has been calling out just a ton of air power. Down goes an MLU, and that's very expensive. It's also opportunity cost for not bringing in other reinforcements. And look at this. This is a fair number of helicopters as well. We don't have amazing tools for that, but I do have an ITO-90 that did take down that one helicopter, and if I can keep him alive right here, we might even be able to take down the other Fennec 20mm. And for the first minute in this game, we're actually showing signs of a fight over Center and Dimitri, maybe being able to retake those towns. Plus, keep in mind, that also means that the Blue 4 attack in Elena has completely failed. Blue 4 attack in Boris has completely failed. There's a little bit of a graveyard of vehicles over here from both ends of the board. Both players, well, HanDHun and both the Blue 4 players fighting over that with everything that they've got. But you have to kind of imagine that's taking a little bit of the wind out of the sails in the hold on Dimitri, because they haven't really been reinforcing there for a while. My Iroquois are through. We did capture Rio. This is an Israeli 15-point resupply, and that Kurnos, not really sure where he's going. Probably looking for any large concentration of troops, but could also just be an intimidation factor of, hey, don't get too far forward, I'm watching you. you won't like it when I find you and all that. And I do still have 3 KTs that are alive, so they could still do something. We'll see. Kurnos is going in for the strike. There's the missile going after my ITO-90 by the looks of it. Missile away on our side. That's a hit, and the books finish him off. Very nice 1-2 punch there. Very much worth trading the ITO-90 into a Kurnos. Yeah, no complaints. So with 15 minutes left, we do get a +1. This is not enough. We'll end up with, ooh, That could be. So the CV I think was just being repositioned. We didn't quite get the kill, but that means it's nearby. And at +1 we don't get enough points. At +3 we do. So this would translate to 450 points every 10 minutes. At this point, if we keep a +3, we actually win the game outright on points before the end of the game. So it's such a edge of your seat sort of thing for when you're playing the match and you have this situation. One thing, they moved the CV, and then they stopped it. They moved it when I was here. They stopped it when I get farther back this way. It's probably back here. I probably overshot. It's just not something that the KTs with their poor optics can really spot from afar. So CC moving forward, trying to get a kill on a mock bet if I can get the Raika anti-tank weapon online first, but it's 525 meter range. If it was anything else, we'd already have shot at the mock bet. But as it stands, we have to get very close. It's one of the drawbacks of the CC as a unit. Usually I really do enjoy having those guys around because the Dragunov and the Swami KP, SMG, but it does have its drawbacks. So looking for that, and there it is, M113A1 FCC command vehicle from Crippling Depression. The CC on their own, I'm not sure they'll be able to kill it, but my KTs now, in a good position, can shoot at most anything coming up onto this plateau. My 8 MTV looks like it might have even gotten the kill there, but I'm just following up with the CC to make sure, as the other KTs take out an Anyafa that I believe was carrying another command vehicle, probably, not actually sure. Be a little bit quick on that response. They might have been expecting to lose it already, but they haven't quite yet. And this is why you love Bushmaster 2s. Oh, yeah, never mind. Stunned. Yeah, well, even through that, that's a couple of kills. Yeah, lots of infantry knocked into the open, fair number of IFVs getting taken down, even as individual KTs are stunned. Bushmasters are just brutally overpowered weapons for this game. It's pretty crazy. Now, my Copa, I'm trying to cap center, went a little bit the wrong direction, so we narrowly avoided some Rovite, and the Copas are moving around. Going to have to get into center on the far side here, and if we can get in there and cap center, and then really just push back into Dimitri, this sort of strategy, while we didn't ever take the ground fully on this side, has kind of worked in abstract, by the way. We didn't, neither one of us noticed that at the time, that Anyafa is going to come back to bite us. But it's kind of worked in spirit, if not in complete function, and that's sort of what you expect on most things in this game. You're never going to have a 100% win, achieving all your objectives, unless your opponent isn't playing the game, kind of thing. But we have really split their troops. They're trying to attack into center right now, which means Dimitri is just, well, up shit creek without a paddle, shall we say. Anyafa, by the way, looking for the command vehicle in Fetter, and this is kind of, well, it's kind of annoying. It works, you'll see it very often. Because we didn't have anything that could shoot at that Anyafa, it's just able to fly around and look for this BRDM-2U, and you will eventually find him, and maybe even take him out himself, because the BRDM-2U, 1 armor all around. It's a 7.62 gun. It won't do very much at any given time, but it also means that they can fire at it from afar, so that's a really unsafe command vehicle right there, and we have no even inkling of there being anything until right now in Gregory, so that little spot of blue, and we lose a unit. I think there was actually already a shot on HanDHun has lost his artillery piece as well, so we know there's something in our base. Fortunately, our command infantry is on the other side. If it hadn't been for that, we would have probably just lost the game right there, not being able to bring in anything else to this game. BRDM-2U replacement, by the way, as artillery is taken out of the CV and Fetter, and still no response in Gregory proper, so I thought we noticed then. It could be just about now, I'd say, that it was really noticed. Now on this side, Banako Yekri sparring with Dragoner, sparring with those 5-point boxes, but there aren't that many places I could put a CV. So the Paten's coming in, Block 5 Bomber coming in, looking for that CV kill. Fortunately, we do get a kill on him with the Bookhem 1s. Just, oh man, incredible placement for that. Very, very nice work there. And for right now, we're holding. But there's a Draken WDNS trying to do what the Block 5 could not, taking a little bit of a longer way around here, and looking for my command vehicles. So that's where all of my attention is focused. BRDM-2U very nearly killed by Magwan, who must have been out of spikes, I would imagine. That's really the only explanation that I can come up with. They did, by the way, take out at least one of my Karten-Yekri, so yeah, not really great there. I tend to bring Karten-Yekri in both Musties and KRKKs because I really like Karten, but I'm trying to move out of the way and not going to be able to do it. Actually, it doesn't look like I moved there very far at all. And center has been recapped from blue, so that flips back to them. We are still, it's 227 points to 385, 11 minutes or so left in this game, maximum, and, well, this is a pretty big threat. If we can cap Fetter, we get back to a +1, so the counter cap on Dimitri the cap on center, it would be just enough if we got it right now. So 150 points to the +1, we'd probably tie. As it is, by the way, VDV90 getting this far forward, I never expected to see that. Motostrelki very far forward as well. Just unfortunate that they're being taken out sort of in between towns, and neither one of these is command infantry, so we can't really return the favor with sniping that command infantry for the other team. On the other hand, Salamandra, definitely very angry, and using all those rocket pods, all of the Kokon M missiles to knock about everything that I can in this zone, because this is a command vehicle. So if we take a look in, that's going to be an FCC Centurion, and just knowing where it is good enough for me. I don't need to get the kill with the Salamandra, I don't even really need to hold line of sight, though it would be nice if we could. The Barak 2 does come in and get that helicopter. This is the price of failing to kill it earlier. It got away with 1 health then, it's getting away with 1 health now, and it might come back to be a nuisance one more time. But we know where it is, and it's moving just a little, but it shouldn't be all that far as there is a recap on center. MiG-25 RBT cluster bomber from HanDHun and my Syria is ordered evac as soon as we lose line of sight. Just, there's no sense calling this in over something we can't see. In the meantime, Kartanyekri have secured this. Now we do have some base defense on this side, having learned a little bit from that mistake, but still not much in Feder. They could have probably infiltrated into Feder given the opportunity. And we're still looking to try to get any sort of taking points that we can. So, if you notice, we haven't talked about Dmitry for a while. Most everything in here that's blue has died, and that's largely because of HanDHun pushing his VDV90 this far forward. He's even captured Rios, which means that there's a command infantry in here, probably protected by some Mogwan that we weren't able to kill, but not much else. Musties, by the way, right as there's an Auxiliary Pakud buy from Canadian, this had to have felt pretty rough, I do apologize. 3 recoilless rifles, and there you go. I love Musty trucks. Highly recommend you check them out if you don't use them too often. Syria, actually a little bit too late, just picks up a different kill over here before evacing, so the Musties got him before my attack plane could, even. And very nicely done for that plane. Yeah, well, that didn't make a lot of sense. You do enough of these recordings in a row, and your words start to sort of blur together, but I do the best that I can. I hope you guys do enjoy these recordings. I've been trying to ask a little less often, but if you're still hanging around and you haven't already, please don't hesitate to do the whole like, share, subscribe thing. It's been a pretty rough 2 months or so for the channel, not really having that much growth. I've been trying a couple different things, recently got a different microphone, and it really does help me out quite a bit. So at this point, we are pushing into Dmitry, MTLBVs from HanDHun, double T80, my stuff moving forward as well, Kartanyekri, Yekri, Raniko Yekri, not going to be as fast as his, moving on the highway and with either tracks or wheels, well, mostly tracks in here, but we're trying to clear out the edge of Dmitry because now we have another opportunity for victory. We can just recap Dmitry entirely, so if we kill their countercap here, which can't be that heavily defended by now, then we go from +2, which we have currently, to a +4, and we could still outright win on points, even though +2 is good enough right now for us to win the game with 7 minutes left. There's the Hopok, there's the remaining Mogwan team, and the Motostrelki and T80 should be able to get a kill here very quickly. So there goes the Mogwan, and T80's going after the Hopok. There it is. Oh, very nearly there it is, shall we say. Oh man, took a little bit longer than I thought there. Yeah, you can't survive that many tank guns for that long without too much trouble. Mi-17 coming up, trying to get a cap on center again. We have it uncapped for them, we just don't have our own command vehicle in here after mine was bombed. Now, not a lot of protection, but when you get to the end of the game, the cost-effectiveness argument becomes less persuasive, because in the early game, it's all about cost-effectiveness, because that builds up over time more and more and more and more. But in the last couple minutes, you can't really take advantage of those big swings as much over a 10-20 minute period. You don't have enough time. So, even though this was expensive and potentially a risk, the conquest points mattered more than the points on the ground. Raskazin Korima again taking out Auxiliary Pakud, and that's their second 100 and some point kill off of these relatively cheap 15 point cost, 5 strength infantry, and they got gun run by an MLU. Oh my goodness. Yeah, peak wargame right here, and this is one where, I gotta say, I'm glad I stayed in, and I wouldn't have if not for having a very persuasive teammate who unfortunately did lose a BRDM2U there, but I think he was also going to cap center with that. We already have the Stab CV infantry up there, so a silver lining. Yeah, Patens are pretty nasty. I think he was shooting at the book, not really sure. Yeah, we'll be going after him in just a second. The book actually gets the kill before my Syria can turn around and do it. R13Ms are not the best for anti-helicopter work, but They beat literally nothing when there's a P-10 in the way. My Mi-17 is taking a bit of fire, but these are just cheap ATGMs. I'm really just buying them for the Mi-17s. The funny thing is, as soon as I touch down, the P-10 can use his Hellfires. Maybe not ideal for me. Fortunately though, Ranako Yekuri are very nice at killing helicopters and take them down pretty quickly there, so that's a really expensive helicopter lost for Canadian, and more to the point, a really effective tool that you need in this sort of late game environment that is lost. So one difference I'd like to point out as well, this time the command infantry are headed over to the right. Last time we didn't have control here, so I sent them up right to the road, which is a predictable position, but one that I could reasonably defend with infantry on either side. That's no longer the case. It's no longer true that we have control here. What we do have is reasonable confidence that there's nothing over on the right. So that's the switch in position. That's why I went up on this side instead of right down the pipe into center, like I did the first time around with that command vehicle. As soon as we get the cap there, we are going to switch from +5 up to +7, with only about 4.5 minutes left, and that will close the game very, very quickly indeed. 7 points every, 4 seconds, I think, is a very effective tick indeed. So 493, one more tick and we win the game, and we're going to just say, very briefly, one of the most fun games I've played in the last couple of months. So hats off to Canadian and Crippling Depression, and of course HanDHun for an amazing game. Kills, losses, going to be 7,855 kills, 6,355 losses for our team. My own 4,315 to 3,705, I was surprised by. I thought I went negative there. I think in the late game, a couple of planes, a couple of those expensive P-10 helicopters, sort of padded that a little bit. It would have been more close otherwise. Spike team, this is the one that I dropped off in the town in the middle and then never really looked at. Did pretty nice work, basically peeling apart anything that they had going into reinforcing in the 2-point zones that wasn't on the proper highway, staying away from that spike team. MiG-29 913S, doubled Cepha E and a Kfir, very happy with that. And then most of the rest of my units did pretty much one-for-one grinds. So when you're fighting against things that play like a mech deck, you often have that Kartan killing 2 M41A1s, technically a little bit of a loss for me. Terra Musty killing 2 M41A1s is a bit of a win for me. It's sort of going to trade back and forth like that pretty often. Well, that's going to be all we've got for you guys today. Hope you guys did enjoy, and we'll see you around real soon.